Absolutely.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I've been given 20 minutes to talk to you about TechMan, the vision, and what we do. To be honest, I could take all morning and record lots of stories. One thing I've noticed is if you haven't asked lots of questions of the guys presenting, please feel free to interrupt me or ask anything as I go through. Start with a bit of background. I'm not a techie like James. I'm not a geek, hopefully. I'm an engineer. So what you're going to hear from me is the sort of the true and practical side of how we use the vision. My background was automotive engineering in Birmingham, supplying diesel components to OEMs. So my experience in the 90s of what we called then MRP systems was generally fairly traumatic because it meant we were servicing a global customer base, and if we got it wrong we had to air freight product across the world. I distinctly remember running MRP routines where people hadn't modified the bill of materials correctly, and we'd have to air freight in the bearings to go in the pumps that we were then air freighting out to France to supply tractors. So it's very expensive, and the guys touched on that. When you get it wrong, the expense of getting it wrong can be absolutely phenomenal. I then left the automotive industry and joined a jewellery manufacturer, which is a surprising transition. It surprised me, surprised my family, surprised my friends. The jewellery manufacturer I worked for, we service 4,000 customers around the UK, so we're supplying the sort of mid to high-end retailers. We don't supply Argos and Samuels in the lower-end market. So we have the opposite to a lot of automotive. We have a very small supply base, probably 15 to 20 companies supplying us, but we supply into a huge, mainly UK and European customer base. So although it's not automotive, we still have a lot of pressures on lead time, on service and traceability. So when I joined, the reason they recruited me was to look at processes and growth. It wasn't particularly to focus on stock. That's not to say we didn't have a lot of stock and it wasn't always the right stock. That wasn't one of the primary considerations. Why ERP? I guess 3 or 4 years ago we had a very old-fashioned system, Unix-based, not very flexible, very much within the realms of one person to look after that system. If we wanted a report, we had to go and see that person, ask for a report. And we started looking at the risk of that. We were very much tied to a company and to a developer. As I said, one individual within the building, so it was all very secular. So we knew we had to change things. To do the key driver, we didn't have an integrated system. And each month then we'd run our sales figures, we'd run our stock figures, and we'd run through the whole process. And the thing never tied up. We'd get into board meetings and declare a position, and then find actually that position wasn't quite right. And that happened enough times to embarrass us as a group of directors. We knew we had to do something without tying it together. The grumpy old man in the top corner is a representation of one of our owners. We're a family-run business with a husband and wife. And at that point, consistently, the male part of the partnership would walk into the stock area and put his hand into a drawer and say, there are none of these and they should be there, they're our best seller, and he'd wave them around and sort of how it goes. So it was becoming more of an issue. Selection procedure. It's interesting listening to the guys. I haven't heard the presentation we've just heard for a couple of years, but some of the things we looked at up here in terms of what we wanted as the new system. I think some of the things the guys touched on, some of the things I'll come back to as I go through. Transactional efficiencies, improved visibility of real-time stock. To me, in my role, was a really key thing, and you'll see that hopefully come through. The selection procedure, I think, is the same as you guys would go through. We drafted out our requirements, we sent out invitations to tender. The one thing I think we did that worked well, we got all the companies, we sort of narrowed it down to 3 suppliers, potential suppliers. We invited them all around to the owners' golf club. We set up downstairs. It was all very nice. We had some sandwiches and drinks, and we listened to the presentations. And we could see in one day, we could compare very quickly mentally the different cases that were put forward to us. So why did we end up choosing the vision, TechMan? I guess for some of the reasons we talked about. It seemed a very flexible product. I think we all used Microsoft. We could all relate to how it looked. It all seemed feasible. We kept saying to people, we think we're a complicated business. I think there was a bit of maybe a little jewellery manufacturer. It can't be that complicated. And TechMan actually listened, I think, to the fact that we thought we were quite a complex business. It also seemed relatively cost effective. I'll never forget, as we approved the purchase, our female part of the partnership said, I won't tell you how much we paid, but she said it will end up costing you twice as much as that. And it did. And there were some reasons for that. But as the guy said, you start in a place and you work forwards, and it's an incredibly flexible system. But we didn't get all of it right. Implementation, very, very quickly. I think if you read the books about how to implement, we did a lot of the things right. We got buy-in from the top, our MD was involved, we got a third-party project sponsor. We identified some potential resistance to change within our organisation, which was a lady who had run the old system. And we sort of stuck her right into the projects and said, you're key in terms of talking to the new people. So we eliminated that potential resistance to change. However, in terms of how we put things together, we didn't do it perfectly. The little process map on the side, we spent a vast amount of time mapping processes. And we kept mapping processes, and we kept mapping processes. I found this email in the paperwork I was looking at the other day in here, and it was sent by somebody that's almost become a friend, I guess, from TechMan, somebody we've worked with for the last couple of years. And he was giving us some dates of, we were going live here, so we go live in July. And he was saying we'll do some developing and testing, we'll go live, we'll do some training, all look lovely. We actually did all this stuff in August and September after we went live, because at some point in that scale we should have realised we weren't ready. There's no blame involved in that. It's our project, we're responsible for it. We should have put the thing back slightly. We didn't do anything like enough testing. I have to say, I've done lots of things with open factories in India and flown around the world chasing reject parts. It was probably the most stressful 3 months of my life working live. It was really, really difficult. And the reason for that is we didn't prepare properly, we didn't do a training. I had endless deep in tears. The system was known as no vision for the first 3 months, which I'm sure you can get to. And it just wasn't the case we studied how to implement it. However, I'm still here, luckily. How do we use the vision now in operations, which is the bit that I particularly talked about today. I don't know your organisations, I don't know how you work. We have sales reps and we have 4,000 customers and they phone their orders through to us generally. So at the point where the ladies are taking the orders, putting them into the system at the front end, there are some order-taking decisions to be made. And what we wanted and what we've got now, which is fantastic, is those ladies, and there's one gentleman, so I'm not being sexist, but it's generally a team of ladies, they can see on the screen as they type in customer details and as they put the orders in, they can see whether the stock is available. We didn't start in that way. We started in 2007, it took us 6 months to get things to work. 2008 we didn't have that functionality, we had it in 2009. We got to it, we had to put other things right before we got there. But we now, when the ladies look at the screen, they have stock availability, so they can say, yes sir, yes madam, that's in stock, I can get that, it's not. It gives them a credit check. If when the customer's phoning up, they're beyond the credit, then yes, they're on red, it stops them processing the order. And it gives them a lead time, so they're able to say indicatively how many working days, again going back to the calendar, how many working days that should be before we post it out. So that salesperson doesn't have to make 4 phone calls to my team to ask them all that information, it's there on the screen. So we then go through the normal things of how we're going to fulfil the order, we're going to make it, we buy it. It may surprise you, we still make about 80-90% of what we sell in this country. We do buy in from China, Hong Kong. It's a very small percent of what we do. We're very proud of that, so we have a strong manufacturing base in Birmingham. We then manage our stock, which is where we started from, establishing some stock control. We do that through very simple reorder levels and reorder quantities. So if we try and hold 10 of something in stock, when it goes down to 9, it says you need to order some more, we'd like you to order 5 more. And we build those levels up through trial and error, through analysis of data. To that point. We also